those are some mighty fine looking 5 fingers you've got there.
Yeah.
Are they happy fingers? Oh.
This, gentle viewers, is another Patreon request for Backseat Critique. And I'd just like to introduce this by saying I've wanted to see this for a while, and I've wanted to put it onto my review list because it looks like the sort of thing I want to review. And so it's nice to have an excuse to get a copy of it so I can officially add it to my review list.
And Patron, you made her dream come true.
What did we watch?
What is it in English?
Los 5,000 dedos del Doctor T.
We had to get it in Spanish. I don't know why this is. It's an American movie.
Yeah, it's in English. It's got Spanish dubbing track and it's got Spanish subtitles, but
everything's sexier in Spanish.
There is no English UK release of it, so
we could have just got the US one. I mean, I have a multi-region player. That's a thing over here. I mean, okay, it's my brother-in-law's, but it's a multi-region DVD Blu-ray player. It just plays all regions. Region 2, Region 1, Region 0.
I want to get a multi-region Blu-ray player at some point.
I think you got it off Amazon. You could ask him, it's probably real cheap.
But this is...
It was a patron request.
A surreal kids film from the early 50s that was scripted, the story was done by, and the lyrics were done by...
And set design was done by...
Doctor Seuss.
Dr. motherfucking Seuss. Theodore Geisel, motherfuckers. And you can tell. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, you can tell. Every single little bit of it, that's his influence right there.
Yeah, and you know how you got the
That's
Grinch?
how you do it, the Lorax.
You got the Grinch movie, the Lorax, and the Cat in the Hat movie, and how none of them are the sort of way that Dr. Seuss would make a film, and everyone's like, oh, well, you gotta expand it and make it, bigger, because it's only a short story. And I'm like, motherfucker, this is a short story. This is how Dr. Seuss actually makes a film. If you're gonna make another Dr. Seuss adaptation, just watch this first. And be all like, oh, that's how you expand upon it. As in, you don't really expand upon it, you just...
do it. Just do it.
Yeah, you just do it in bigger.
So this is basically a picture book come to life, quite honestly. I mean, it's got a very simple plot. It's almost, shall I say, Wizard of Ozian in its plot.
Yeah.
A little boy's his mind takes elements from his real life and creates a narrative out of it. Yeah. Whereby the piano teacher that he really doesn't like is hypnotized / rehypnoled his mother, and the only one who can save him is the plumber who he tricks into becoming his father. His father's recently died, and and there are gratuitous musical numbers as well.
Dr. Terwilliger, who Omega was like, I recognize his voice.
I recognize. You see, I'll always be like, hey, it's that guy, or so-and-so, or your woman who does things and stuff, who's in the advert, and you'll be like, who? And I'm like, that person. But I can recognize voices. And I have a knack for that.
We Googled him, and it's Dr. Hook. It's not Captain Hook from Peter Pan, the Disney Peter Pan from the 50s.
So every so often it was like, I will, it's uncomfortable. I want to be like, it's me! Do something to me!
So Dr. Terwilliger, who is Captain Hook, has...
He's a mustache. Because guess who he also played? What's the bad guy from Dudley Do-Right? Mick Dastardly or something like that?
Somebody Dastardly.
Yeah, who has the mustache twirling one. That he voiced him as well.
But he's got this... He's a supervillain in the kid's dream, and he uses lots of dream logic. And his supervillainy is based around the piano, because he hates...
And hypnosis.
Yeah, so he has been ordering his men to go around and kidnap anyone who plays any other instrument so he can put them in a dungeon and torture them forever.
And there's like this really long instrumental thing, which is basically like the Forsaken Orchestra.
Yeah, they get into the dungeon where the non-piano players are kept, and they've degenerated into some sort of cannibalistic zombie society, and they do this big dance number and instrumental number.
With like... basically Seussian instruments, like, the things that you expect, like, the Who's of Whoville to play.
Yeah, like, the one that really stuck in my mind was these guys playing a violin, but the violin was sort of worn around their neck, so it completely destroyed the point of a violin, but it was, like, through their neck, and they were playing it like that, with their heads put in the center. And people were playing
upright basses, but they were half, like, stock mannequins. And
you had, like, 2-story tall, like, a harp and everything.
Yeah, and, like, a...
I got the feeling in universe they just collected a bunch of random stuff and tried to turn them into instruments, in their madness. And the kid was watching it the whole time, just being like,
Like, why did you not escape during the musical number? Quick, child.
Because it did last about 5 minutes. He was just like,
yeah.
That's what one of those looks like. I'm not sure what those are.
And it was kind of like...
It looks like that.
The mother was the only woman in the whole entire movie. And I felt like, really, like... Because he wasn't old enough to have an actual damsel in distress, she subbed in as his damsel in distress.
Yeah.
Like, not in an Oedipal kind of way, though, because, like, obviously he wanted the plumber to be with her and stuff. And it's implied at the end when he awakens from his dream that the mum and the plumber... will hit it off and,
And the whole thing might not have been a dream.
Yeah.
Even though it was plainly a dream.
But you were there. And you. And you.
And, we got hepatitis in the dream and we have it in the real world.
Yeah, they do the pricking their thumbs Blood Brothers thing that was, like, so popular in the 50s, before we knew about bloodborne diseases. And he, like, recites, like, half of the Boy Scouts oath. And he's like, no, you're my dad. And he's like, yeah... Makes sense.
Yeah, totally. And then Dr. T has this thing in his bedroom where just pulls the thing out of the wall and it's a selection of different types of already lit cigars and he's got
they were like honestly it looked like a cigar menorah. It was like, please. Or you know what it looks like sometimes you'll see on certain corners of the internet, like people who roll joints into like fantastic combinations. No, and for Hanukkah, it was posted on the subreddit. It really was. You can probably find it on Imager. Someone had made a menorah joint with like.
Yeah, he's funny. And then he had like floor cake and everything, just pulling it up, and it's like a huge thing with
I want a floor cake.
It's the sort of film set-wise.
It was surreal and it was cute. Don't get me wrong.
It's got the amount of practical sets that's just not done anymore. If they were trying to make this film now, it would be a lot of CGI. Which is a bit unfortunate. I mean, there's a lot of matte paintings and stuff like that in this, but...
I was not checking.
Matte paintings are not as... they're more impressive than CGI because they had to be literally painted out by someone. Like, nowadays, it's... Whether this is real or not, you get the impression that you can do anything, so just like, just do it. Well, then it was much harder.
I know that actual digital artists are involved in that because Phil Bunny, he worked for a digital arts company. They did like 3D effects and stuff like that. Yeah. So I'm not saying that it's not work. It's just like, that back in the day it took a lot for like 4 or 5 classically trained painters to be like,
yeah, it's like
to try to make it look as real as possible. And that was the technology they had at the time.
Yeah, and like nowadays because you can do everything, it just feels less impressive. It's like the equivalent of imagine Stephen Hawking and. Stephen Hawking and, I don't know, Doug Walker got into a foot race.
Oh, I thought we were going to say like a physics battle, and I was like, I didn't know Doug was a physics major.
They got into a foot race of some sort, and, if Stephen Hawking managed to do nowhere near as good as Doug, but it would still be impressive given that he can't move his legs.
Well, he'd win because he has a motorized wheelchair.
So no wheelchair.
Well, he can't move!
My point is, the thing with more restrictions is more impressive when it achieves stuff than the one who can do anything.
Oh, yeah, but I think that your
my metaphor is born out of being tired.
Like, it would be like if Michael Kaku, the astrophysicist, and Stephen Hawking solved the same equation, but Michael was using a computer and Stephen Hawking was doing it out longhand like they did in the 60s. On those big blackboards that movies assure me everyone had.
Yes.
So there you go. There's an actual physics metaphor for it.
And this one had lots of ridiculous songs, and several of them were very
superfluous. Oh yeah, there's one like the bad guy's like, dress me up and things and stuff. And I turned and I said, "This is a wee bit homosexual." I mean, I ain't saying. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I was thinking about having the joys of having his man dress him up in his finery,
and his undulating undies. That was actually a line. Although, didn't you say that a lot of it's stage tradition for people to play Hook and Smee as kind of coded gay? Or is that just a thing from the Disney thing?
Quite often.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know how old the tradition is, but it happens quite a lot of the time. The most obvious one that was done completely deliberately that I know was from Hook with Dustin Hoffman and, what do you call him? Bob Hoskins. Yeah. I mean, the one in the 50s, they probably did it too, but I don't know how old that tradition is.
Well, Disney always has been pretty liberal, so...
Except when Disney was in charge.
Yeah, okay. So, like, after that... I mean, you know the part where Simba slumps down and all the little pollen things go up and say the word sex, don't you? Mm-hmm.
Actually just says SFX. as in special effect.
I know, but people, it was an urban legend that it was SEX. Because, if anything, Simba wants all young boys to get out there and bone.
You know, there's all these myths about these things in Disney. You know, there's that. There's the thing of, there's the priest and Little Mermaid has an erection when it's obviously his fucking knee.
Yeah, it's not.
You know, people like complain about, talk about them whenever there's the ones that do exist.
Apparently, the cover of the Little Mermaid, the castle looking like a dick. Apparently, that actually is intentional.
Yes.
On the parts of the actor, the artist's like, no, that was completely intentional. It looks like a dick.
Yeah, people obsess about, the SFX thing and the bishop's knee and stuff. When the shit like that does exist.
That would be a great name for an old-timey pub. Oh, welcome to the Bishop's Knee. What do you have
Probably is one. But
if you work for the Bishop's Knee, write the show.
There's also the topless shot in The Rescuers.
I don't think I've seen The Rescuers Down Under. I've never seen The Rescuers.
Well, in The Rescuers one, there's this bit when they're sort of flying down this sort of chute, and then for one frame, you have a topless photograph of a woman inserted in there, and it wasn't spotted until after I believe the first VHS release. So it was in the cinema, and it's been removed now digitally, but it was there. You can find pictures of it online. There's also the upskirt shot of Jessica Rabbit.
Yeah, but you'd expect something like that.
And that was corrected on digital as well.
Yeah.
So these things do exist, it's just the ones that people tend to talk about are bullshit.
But this one was perfectly innocent. I mean, like, if you want us to read stuff into it, we can, like...
Oh, yeah.
There's a part where he goes to the plumber and he's like, they're up to no good, I tell ya. This is in the dream, and he's like, he goes and they hypnotize him and bamboozle him, and he's like, alright, you lied to me, kid. And I thought to myself, I said, if I was going to read anything into this, and if I was watching this, say, with someone who was a survivor of child sexual abuse, I could see that being quite upset, because that is something that comes up a lot in children's media. Is something bad, an adult is doing something bad. So usually it's a child, but sometimes it's an adult is doing something bad, and the child tells other adults who say, well, this is an adult, we don't believe you, you're just a kid, you must be lying, you must want attention, stop, fooling around. And that's really, I realize that's pretty upsetting, it's pretty disturbing, because there's got to be so many people who, as children, maybe try to speak up about abuse, or sexual abuse, and were not believed just because they were children. And why is there a spider? Stop it! Don't be in my mouth. But I'm just being serious. But yeah, so if you wanted us to look deeper into a darker subtone,
pretentious.
I'm not being pretentious.
Someone thought you were pretentious.
Someone did. They were like, I know she's your friend and everything, but don't have Omega in the Backseat critique. She's pretentious. And someone's like, I'm there married. Well, maybe being pretentious is good. Brad's pretentious and Kyle's pretentious, and they get a shit ton of ad revenue and views, so.
Brad's not pretentious. He pretends to be.
That's true. He was kind of like nice in real life.
Yeah. Kyle's perfectly nice in real life. But he's even
admitted his persona is supposed to be like.
I didn't want to say pretentious. He's sort of pretension influenced.
Pretension influenced.
I'm trying to think of a much nicer way of putting it.
Well, I thought that was the point. That was his character.
No, Kyle is Kyle.
Kyle is Kyle, but Kyle wrote the show. So no, but like I said, it was a cute movie. I don't know if it's reviewable.
It is. It's easily reviewable. There's a lot I can take the piss out of.
You can take the piss out of.
It'll be much easier to review than the other film we watched today.
Yeah, which
I'm
actually
kind of regretting doing because it'll be hard to write a script for. I don't know where it's gone.
It's over there on the top of the PlayStation.
No, it isn't.
Well, then where did you put it? She put it somewhere. It actually wasn't a bad movie. It was a comedy and it was very, very surreal.
Mormon pirate movie.
Not what you'd expect, actually.
Yeah.
Not at all what you'd expect.
That's going to be one of my Con Bravo crossovers, I hope.
Is that public, who you're doing it with?
Magic Steve.
Magic Steve.
I think most people that watch this won't know Magic Steve.
You should follow him on Twitter.
Yeah, he's really good.
Search Magic Steve. He's followers of both of us, and we follow him, so you should come up right away. If you don't know who he is, he's magic, and his overwhelming talent is he can make anything out of balloons.
Yeah.
Like the TARDIS, like a Dalek, like...
He's also an ex-professional wrestler.
Yeah. He's a professional video guy. He does adverts and stuff like that, Yeah. Check him out. He's also got
back to the 5,000
really
Figures of
cool
Dr. T. Everything in this is Seussian. The costuming, and you didn't even need any of the fucking, like, Grinch-like crazy makeup on the Who's and everything. They just had regular people in Seussian costumes.
Yeah.
They didn't need to have, lots of, crazy visual effects, although they did have crazy visual effects, but only for certain parts of it.
But they were practical effects. There was only one special effect besides the wire work, and that was the fireworks at the end, and the smoke.
Well, there's a lot of things that can be considered special effects. Special effects is a very broad term.
Well, the sets were very good.
Yeah, there's a lot of practical sets. There was matte work, which was done especially with the buses, and
okay,
also
I didn't know if that counted as special effects.
And the shots, might count as optical effects, but there's all these sorts of things. But the sets were very, very, very Seuss. It's like
very, literally, if you took a telesnap of every single scene, every single frame, every single scene, could be an illustration in a Dr. Seuss book. Which is good, because I do like Dr. Seuss very much, actually.
If someone drew it to look like Dr. Seuss's style, it would look perfectly in place.
Yes, it really would.
In every respect. So, well done to the director. It was Roy Rowland, but apparently, according to the IMDb, he was also, parts of it were co-directed by Stanley Kramer. Stanley Kramer?
Why, what is he famous for? Because you had to tell me.
He did a bunch of things. He died in the early 2000s. There was the Charles Darwin twins.
Yeah.
Charles's Dar twin.
Dar twins. On roller skates.
Yeah, these two guys, they're dressed like Charles Darwin. They've got long white beards, but their beards grow together into one, so they're sort of one being. And then when the beard gets cut after this action scene fight thing on roller skates, the beard gets cut and they die.
It's kind of like and then your man Terwilliger goes into like the Hamlet speech.
Yeah, about Yorick, but about these two guys, and he wants revenge and everything.
And I was like,
you can see them.
Are they like the Cheng and Eng,
See, right there.
Their livers are attached.
Well, they had different surnames, so I don't think they started off as one being.
Oh, no, he fused them. He fused their facial hair.
Somehow, I'm not sure. Is that Dr. T?
Yeah, he's like reclining. He's in repose.
God damn it! There he is. Yeah. It looks like a flying carpet of some sort. And the kid there, that's him in his Dr. T outfit, because he's got the 500 children, he's going to make them play stuff. And then, of course, you get... I don't think the film quite understands how physics work, because if you take this sort of liquid and you put other stuff into it, like a hearing aid, it absorbs sound.
Well, I mean, that was the fantastical element of it.
I find it weird, even in universe...
Because think about it. Think about it this way. He says, I have... This is the plumber as interpreted as by the child's brain in memory consolidation during REM sleep in his dream, right? So... What if you don't understand how technology works? What does that make it to you? Magic. Oh. So basically, I don't doubt that the plumber had a jar full of like the same kind of stuff that's in Febreze, same kind of stuff that you would have in things that are a neutral smell, like they had airspray. The first airsprays were neutral smell sprays. So basically, of course he's a plumber. He would have a jar of this stuff that you just open it and it fills the air with this neutral smell. But the child doesn't understand how it works. So as far as he's concerned, in his mind, a little invisible hand comes out, grabs the smell, and brings it back in. So, dream logic, okay, if that's the scientific principle, we can make science magic that does the same thing but with sound. So this is probably like an actual real technology that he has seen in waking, life, that because he doesn't understand how chemistry works, he's filled in that part with magic. Or science.
Okay, I can see that's what they're going for. Unfortunately, whenever he was using it in the film, you had lots of random noises happen.
Yeah, because he's a kid. He doesn't. Remember, this is his dream. This is his brain creating the narrative.
But the first time it was used, it was silent. I got the feeling that originally it was intended to be silent, and they decided that it wasn't working, and so they added the sounds later on.
Fair enough.
Just to cover it. Yeah, that's what I think happened.
Okay, but I think that's how. Come at me, bro. Wah! Hey, stop it! No, we don't have to tripod over. No sex until after the Backseat critique. But so it was.
We get more views.
Yeah, we get kicked off YouTube for porn.
No, it would just be adult restricted.
Anyway,
I mean, YouTube has had a look at my Slaughtered Vomit Dolls review, and they didn't kick me off.
That's a good point.
They just age restricted it, which means I can't get profit off it.
Because
you can put porn on YouTube. It's just they won't let you profit on it, and they'll make sure someone has to be 18 to watch it.
I guess that makes a weird kind of sense, really. So yeah. So do you remember what Patron this was for?
I am sorry, I cannot recall.
Oh, mystery Patron. We hope that
There's
this was all that you dreamed of.
I'm sorry.
You hope that you just watch this and you just, I need a cigarette after that.
Well, he gave me a selection of several that he wanted me to see, and I got to choose one. And I was like, 5,000 Fingers, I wanted an excuse to see that anyway.
I wonder what the porn title of it is.
5,000 Fingers of Dr. T and the Woman, starring Richard Gere, and he's got, I don't know, 500 cocks or something. I haven't seen Dr. T and the Woman. I suggest...
500 figurines of Dr. T?
I am...
If you have a suggestion for the porn title, comment below.
I haven't seen Dr. T and the Woman, but I'm assuming that, because it's early 90s, that it's Richard Gere having sex with a lot of women and possibly a hamster or two. That was an urban legend at the time. Oh. That he did stuff with hamsters.
Okay.
But it's clearly bullshit.
I've heard an urban legend about hamsters, although sometimes it's mice.
Ah. Well, I think the one where, the episode of South Park about the hamster that was stuck up someone and it sort of had a parody of The Hobbit animated.
Oh, okay.
That was, I think, inspired by this urban legend about Richard Gere, which is clearly bullshit.
See, for a while, until someone explained that urban legend to me, I thought it was like there was an old East phrase, oh, well, did you hear the rabbit died? Do you know anything about that?
No.
Okay, well, I didn't realize this until Mr. Ford explained it, because I'd heard the phrase before. That way back in the day, like before pregnancy tests, what your doctor would do is if you thought you were pregnant, he would take a urine sample. He would send that off to the lab. What the lab would do is they would take the urine and they would inject it into a female rabbit. They would wait like a day or two, and then they would kill and dissect the rabbit. And apparently, if there were little spots of blood on the rabbit's ovaries, because it had reacted to the pregnancy hormone, they would call back and be like, oh, it's pregnant. Well, the rabbit died no matter what, because the rabbit got autopsied no matter what. So the phrase just became, oh, well, the rabbit died. Pregnant.
I had no idea about
You learned something, didn't you?
Something.
Google it. It's true. Although, I've actually never Googled it, so it could just be Mr. Ford, taking the collective piss with us. So actually Google that. And let me know how that turns out, because I never bothered to fact check that, because this was school, so.
Dr. T has a fabulous collection of costumes in this.
He does. A flamboyant collection of costumes, if I might
Honestly,
say.
and the performance and the costuming, I could totally see him as being like a 1950s version of the Master.
Mm.
Of the Ainley or Eric Roberts Master. Not like the Delgado. Delgado would be like, oh, you fool.
It was me, Doctor, and my 5,000 fingers.
And the Sim Master would, sitting in a corner naked, eating his own feces.
What?
Because it's this John Sim Doctor. And Michelle Gomez would be like, okay.
I don't care what you do, your fingers are nasty brats, get away from me. I can't do a Scottish accent, so. There you go. Well, no, I have a supervisor, she's from Glasgow. And you can hear it in her voice. So, there you go. So, like I said, we hope that this has fulfilled your wildest dreams of a backseat critique.
Yes.
I'm not even drunk.
And if any of you guys are actually owed anything, for the full Hagen reviews, I think I've got to hang on everyone who is owed them. I'm doing the rest of them after Season 6 finishes. Next episode that goes up will be Black Sheep, which is another Patreon request.
Me, let me know.
Because she's thinking about doing a Patreon.
Well, no, we only have 8 minutes left of battery power to really go into it, but the long and short of it is that we're probably moving over the border to the Republic around May of next year, and I can become an Irish citizen eventually. But if I do not go right into a doctorate program, if I have to take a year off in between and work, I might concentrate on working full-time and then doing videos, and I might do a Patreon, but I don't know. I feel kind of bad about it. I want to ask people for money, but you know how it is, but wake up! But so that's the crack.
Well, you could help me with videos.
Well, yeah,
make it quicker.
That's a given.
I give you my voiceovers and you make them serviceable.
Yeah, because I have the thing. But yeah, so that's the crack of that.
Yeah, so if you're owed in a backseat critique or anything like that, or you need the password for the uncensored episodes or whatever, please let me know.
Holla!
I'm hoping in the next week to do another uncensored.
That should be another t-shirt. Holla at Hagen. You know that you can buy Demon to Hagen merchandise and stuff? You should
go to redbubble.com, look up Demon to Hagen. There's all sorts of t-shirts and stuff. And most of them have been designed by Creature SH, who does the Photoshop. A couple of them were designed by DeVillo, which the wonderful collection of stuff. Like Demon to Hagen, Made Me Gay, God is a Lesbian, Social Justice, God Empress. You know, there's a bunch of different ones.
I should get a Hagen hoodie. I should get a You Probably Shouldn't Cook This.
Yeah, you can get that one. There's all sorts. Just check it out. It's really cool. And part of the money made from it does go to the Free Peoples of Afghanistan for, like, running an orphanage or something.
What?
An orphanage for action figures.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Anyway,
yeah, so
I'm hoping next week to do another uncensored. Probably Chopping Mall if you have a request for an uncensored. If you're a $5 not patron and you have a request, let me know and I can do it because I plan to do all of the ones which have black boxes as uncensored eventually.
And I don't know, holla at me. I've got nothing for you. We've got an incredible amount of Cadbury cream eggs in this house because they were on offer for 16p for like a day and a half, and my roommate went to my shop and bought like 2 boxes of them, so
200.
I'll send you a cream egg.
And thank you again. This is officially going on my Hagen review list. And given that right now I'm averaging about 1 episode a month, don't expect a review for a while.
And that's because of Patreon things and other sorts of financial decisions.
Yeah. I'm artificially having to slow down because of reasons.
But soon there'll be things. It's alright. But we have 4 minutes left of battery power. Is there anything you need to say?
You have eyebrows.
Well, yes. Go watch the Batman v Superman Backseat Critique with John Ruddy.
Yes.
From Letterkenny.
Yes.
History guy.
Hopefully be joining us for other Backseat Critiques at some point in the future. Maybe Civil War, maybe X-Men, maybe ones before that. I don't know what the next Backseat Critique will be.
God alone knows.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's coming out and when. But we're getting Civil War 6 days before America. So I'm going to hopefully drag this one to the midnight screening.
We'll see. It depends on if I'm working the next
and
night.
She'll be like, I hate Captain America.
No,
he's a douche.
I do. I'm always on Tony Stark's side.
Eagles 3.
Because again, Tony Stark, like, you know, he used his mega brain to do all that kind of stuff. He didn't need a super serum to give him big muscles. He had a big muscle right here. Actually, the brain's not a muscle, but...
The only reason that Captain America came out of it so well was because he was already good-hearted to begin with.
Like, I just want to see a movie where Tony Stark and Bruce Banner be science bros. Is that too much to ask?
Probably. But we'll see you later.
Bye.